What's going on, guys? Welcome back into Vay's Pods. We've got another very special episode today. We got episode 35, so we had to get another very special guest with us. Today we have Gary Bell Jr., current associate head basketball coach at Northern Arizona. Before stepping into the coaching ranks, he was a standout guard at Gonzaga. Back in high school, he was also named Gatorade Player of the Year in 2010, 2011. Gary, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on. How you doing, my guy?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. Okay, so we'll just get right into it, my guy. Kind of give everybody an overview on who Gary Bell Jr. is.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit it, but yeah, I played basketball from the, Washington area, Seattle, Kent area. Obviously grew up playing basketball and football. Probably better in football, but love basketball a little more. I mean, yeah, now I'm coaching here at NAU and, looking forward to having a great year for the 25-26 year.
Most definitely. Okay, so you grew up in Kent, Washington, correct?
Yeah.
What was the basketball scene like over there when you were growing up?
To be honest, so I grew up in Kent, but I went to like elementary and school uh, in the Tukwila, Seattle area, and then I moved out to Kent, went to Meeker Middle School and Kent Ridge. So I moved out there my eighth grade year, and Kent Ridge had just went to the state championship game, and they lost to Ferris High School. So I didn't even know about Kent Ridge or really anything as far as sport wise in the Kent area. And when I saw that they went there, I'm like, dang, I'm going to a good school, right? So didn't know I was going to play varsity, but at the same time, I knew I was talented enough to do it. And Coach Dave Jamieson gave me an opportunity my freshman year and kind of just took off from there.
Most definitely. Okay, so I want to talk about, before we get too far into it, let's just go back real quick. Let's talk about your family, the upbringing, and everything.
Just honestly, just my dad kind of put the ball in my hand at a shoot early age. Probably, I don't even remember. I've always just played basketball, but he put the ball in my hands, and then seeing them work hard, I think that's something that was instilled from the beginning. Like whatever you do, you're gonna work hard in it. You're never gonna quit. I wasn't always the best. You just work hard every single day, and you get better. You just stack days. So that was something that was instilled at an early age. And then, yeah, just like mom and dad, I have a younger sister. I'm the oldest out of two. We're 3.5 years apart. But I mean, sports was something that everybody just did. All my cousins and uh, from youth sports, and that's just something I always did. And then just took it to another level with my work ethic.
Well, you definitely did take it to the next level. Okay, did you have any influences growing up?
I would just say my dad, but at the same time, right? You're watching, football and basketball. Like Nate Robinson was somebody that he's my cousin, like second cousin. So seeing him do it at UW, and kind of watching what he did, um, kind of put a battery in my back as far as like seeing somebody that I know reach that level. Seeing him at family reunions, and then just looking up to him and seeing how hard he worked, and him being so small and him reaching that level, I was like, if he can do it, I felt like I could do it, and that was, obviously didn't reach the NBA, but like he definitely put a batter in my back or in my back.
That's what's up. Okay, he was a real dog for sure. Obviously a Washington legend as well. Do you have any childhood memories that you think about sometimes that you're just like, dang, that was a good time growing up?
So I was good in my area, right? And then when I was in fifth grade, I moved to I played for Rotary, Seattle Rotary
Yeah.
Select, and that was kind of a big wake up call because like all the best players kind of played for Rotary Select. So the summer before moving and playing for them, me and Tony Roden, we played football in like the youth sports back then. I played for the SeaTac Sharks, and he played for the CD Panthers, and we are going back and forth. The score might have been like, I don't know, like 49-42. It's like whoever had the ball last was gonna win the game. So I'm watching. I'm like, who is this dude? Like this dude is more athletic than me. Usually, I'm the most athletic guy that I had seen at that time. I'm like, who is this guy? So didn't really know him. And then for like next week, we have tryouts for Rotary, and I'm like, this is that same dude. So like, I feel like me and him were always compared a lot, and we just like created a bond over it to where Like that was one of my best friends growing up because, we were doing the same things and we were working out together and just yeah. From then on, like we were like, okay, where are you going? I'm working out with you. What are you doing? I'm doing that same thing too. So, like he was somebody that like I talked about Nate Robinson, but Tony, us being the same age, we kind of were like, okay, if you're doing that, I'm doing this too, and we're just gonna make each other better.
Shout out to Tony.
Yeah, my guy.
What type of student were you growing up?
Uh, I was a great student, to be honest. Like I mean, growing up, I got in trouble a lot as far as being like, I'm not super talkative, but at the same time, like I love to like crack jokes or do these things. So I got in trouble for kind of not paying attention a lot when I was younger, and then once I got older, I thought school kind of came easy to me. Um, if you just do your work, do your homework, and things like that, you're gonna pass. So yeah, I was a good student. I think I had like a 3.2 coming out of high school, and then like before that, like middle school and all elementary and all that. Like I said, if you do your work, you're gonna pass. And then when you get to high school, it kind of easier too.
I feel like that's something that people always skip over when they think of student athlete. We skip the
Yeah,
student portion and we just go straight to the athlete portion because you guys are super amazing
yeah.
at what you guys do. But when you were growing up, kind of explain the recruiting process and kind of how that went. And then also, before we get too far into it again, you were the basketball player of the year, Gatorade player of the year. Um, when you get awarded that, do you know that you're doing something very special that season, or is it just something that you were surprised about? How did that all go down?
So I backtrack. So the recruiting process, like I said, like Tony Roden was my best friend, and we did everything together. Like we got each other better. But he was getting recruited in like eighth grade, right? He was like the number one player in the country in like seventh grade and like highly ranked, and he was getting recruited. And I'm like, man, I'm doing the same work. Like, why ain't I getting any letters? And even my freshman year, like, I think Portland was my first offer going out of my freshman year. And to be honest, I was like, man, I feel like I'm better. Why ain't I getting any looks? But as you just like I said, as you keep putting the work in, like then those letters started to come in. So I went to Gonzaga camp going into my sophomore year, and they sent me a letter, and then from then on, it was like I was getting letters honestly like every day. I still have like boxes in my parents' basement of like all the letters I got from over the years. But I mean, going to like my senior year and when I won all those awards, I knew I was doing something special, right? I think I was averaging like 29,
Yeah.
30 points a game. And like it was just, I knew once I was going to play, I was going to get somewhere around there. Um, and yeah, you're doing something special. I didn't know I was going to win the award. I thought I was going to go to be honest, like Tony Roden or somebody like that. And my coach called me before he told me. He was like, yeah, these guys got this. They got first team, second team, and he left my name off. And I'm like, all right, so where am I at? If I didn't get none of those, like where am I at? He was like, you didn't get none of those awards because you got Mr. Basketball Player of the Year and you got Gatorade Player of the Year. And I was just like, dang, like all the work that I was putting in, it's finally coming to light.
Okay, okay, that is super awesome. Who comes to you at Gonzaga and says, Gary Bell Jr., we want you to be our shooting guard, our point guard, whatever they say, like when they're coming in to recruit you, what do they say to you?
So Tommy Lloyd was the first one to send me a letter, but that letter wasn't like it wasn't an offer. And at that time, it was my first, kind of like bigger school to send one. And I was thinking it was an offer. I'm like, dang, Gonzaga's looking at me. You see Adam Morrison and Jeremy Pargo and all these guys that had played there. I'm like, man, Gonzaga's on me. And I was going to the camps. So going into my junior year, I think that's when they offered me, and I think the camps kind of helped as far as like creating a relationship with those guys more because they were coming to every game and they were talking to me. But it was yeah, Tommy Lloyd was the first one. And then from there, it was Coach Ray Giacoletti that I was talking to
Okay.
every week, and they were coming to the school and showing the interest. So it was Ray Giacoletti and Tommy Lloyd at first.
When does Mark Few come into the picture here? Because he has such high things to say about you. When does he come into
Yeah.
the picture? Like, does he just come in to seal the deal? Do you not see him until you pull up on campus? How does that go?
No, like kind of like I said, I was going to the camps,
Oh,
so I would talk to him, once you get there, and it's funny 'cause his sons are grown now, but I go to the camps and they'd be like behind our bench, at those Gonzaga camps are playing in smaller gyms, but they'd have posters and like Gary's the best player, things like that. They were super young then, but yeah, like Mark Few would talk to me a bunch when I'd be at the camps and also call. Not as much as assistant coaches. Now being on this side, I get that aspect of it. But he's definitely a dude that's gonna seal the deal once you get on campus and things like that. He's a great people person once you do meet him. So yeah, once you get on campus, I feel like that's when he really gets the job done.
at least me, I always remember you as a really good 3-point shooter. You could score the basketball and you could play defense at a very high level. Where did your game come from? Who do you model after?
Um, So for me, like going back to my dad, like even because I always could shoot the ball, like you talk to him, like I've shot the ball the same way. Like all my friends, they're like, you've had the same form since you were in like fifth grade. Like I've always been able to shoot. But something that my dad would always tell me was like, guard your guy. Like, yeah, you're scoring all these points, but if you're giving up points on the other end, it don't matter. So like he'd always tell me to guard, guard, guard. So once I got to Gonzaga, it was, you got to find a way to get on the floor. I knew I could shoot, and then I knew I could score as well, but defense was going to be a way to get on the floor, and I always knew I could do that because it's just pride. Like coming from, where I come from, it's like I'm not letting him get off because now I got to listen to my teammates or I got to listen to my friends tell me how bad he killed me. So it's like, no, I'm stopping him.
Most definitely, man. You were the a 3 and D before I think we understood what 3 and D, my guy. Like,
For
so
sure.
at a high level, okay. Um, we all see Gonzaga as like the national powerhouse that it is now. What was it like? Obviously, I know you. I'm not saying that you were the foundation, but you were one of the people that helped build it up into what it is. What was it like in that moment?
Um, when you're in that moment, I feel like our first 3 years, right? We always went to the tournament and won a game. I think it's gonna might cause some controversy, but like me and Kevin, like instilled uh, kind of the DNA that they have right now. I feel like because Kevin Pangos
Yeah,
was one of the best leaders that I had seen. Like even stepping foot on campus, you would have thought he would have been a senior as far as like his mentality. Like he'd come in, bring guys in to shoot after practice, bring guys to shoot later at night. Like he brought that work ethic that I thought I had, and he put it to another level because he's like, we're doing this. Like he'd make you go to the gym and do things like that. It's like, no, we're not tired. Let's go get up shots. But Kevin Pangos is definitely a dude that instilled like what these guys are doing now, as far as like the retreats that Gonzaga does. I don't know if they still do it, but when I was there as a GA, it was the same retreat that we started back in 20, what was it 2014, 2015. So if they're still doing that, it's because of my class, Kevin Pangos, and those guys. Like I said, we wanted to win more than one game in the tournament, and like our goal every year, right, is to win a championship. But we said it was like, all right, we want to win a championship, but we haven't got out of the first weekend. Let's get to the second weekend. Let's build from there. So that was our goal for that year. It's like let's get to the Sweet 16, and then from there let's keep it going. We got to the Elite Eight, and then now seeing what these guys are doing, and going to I think it was 9 straight Sweet 16s and reaching Final Fours and playing in the championship game. I think it's stuff that we built, and also like the teams before us, because I think that's the culture part of it too. Like it's not just us; it's the guys that came before us, and we just want to keep building onto that. So I think they built onto what me and Kev kind of brought to the program, and like me and Kev, we built off of what the Pargos, the Rob Sacrays, the Dan Dickows, and Blake Steps, like all those guys did before us. So we just keep elevating the program, and that's what they're doing now.
Yes, okay. I agree with you 100%. I'm kind of glad you brought up the tournament. I want to talk about that because, we have been very spoiled here in Spokane. I'm 27 years old, so like I don't know a bad Gonzaga team, you know?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it personally. So, what was it like? Obviously, you guys went to the Elite Eight. Did you guys go to the Sweet 16 twice?
So my last year was when we went to the Elite Eight. We kind of started that run that they had before this past year.
Explain to everybody what it is like in the NCAA tournament. Kind of walk us through that first weekend going into the second weekend, and kind of what is the process like during that week as well. Like,
Yeah. So the I don't know. It's a mixed feeling. So our tournament, the WCC tournament, is usually like one of the first tournaments to crown a champion. So then we have like a week before the tournament even starts. So we might play that I don't know, the championship game back then, I think it was on like a Tuesday, and then Selection Sunday was that following Sunday. So we might play that Tuesday, then we might get Wednesday or Thursday off, and then kind of go back and like refresh. Like we don't even know who we're playing yet, right? Because we're waiting for Selection Sunday. So it's a lot of competition and practice. And then once you find out who you're playing, I'll give you both sides of it. But as a player, you find out who you're playing. It's kind of like the same prep week you'd have in conference because usually we play Thursday, Saturday, or you're playing Friday, Sunday. And
mhm.
all right, you find out who you're playing Sunday. Then Monday comes, you're probably watching a little bit of film on, if we want to go over their offense or how they're going to guard our offense. Practice that Monday. It'll be a whole bunch of competition stuff. Tuesday, if we worked on offense that Monday, then we're probably going to work on defense that Tuesday, and then Wednesday is kind of like a mix of everything as far as um, going to work on stuff that we know we're going to do in the game as far as offense, and then we're going to work on how we're going to guard their stuff on for the game on Wednesday, and then Thursday comes. I'll take it back. Wednesday, you're traveling, or Tuesday you're traveling, you're going to do a whole bunch of media stuff. You're going to be talking, getting interviewed, and like it's super fun, right? Especially if it's your first time going. You're getting interviewed by, USA Today, CBS, it's big time stuff. Um, get the practice in front of a crowd. Like it's not a real practice. It's mostly just, showing if you can dunk and making threes and doing things like that. And then you got your private practice, but it's a show. It's definitely a show, um, and that's what I'm trying to get to at NAU before we get there. But I'm trying to get our team to experience that because it can be a once in a lifetime thing for certain players. Luckily enough, I was able to do it 4 times. But yeah, you play in those games and it's on live TV, right? It's on CBS, TNT, TBS. Everybody's watching. It's a different type of. There's no pressure, but it's a different type of feel for those games, right? Like you watch those games when you're a kid, and now you're playing in it. So it was a great experience, and like I said, I'm trying to get our guys to experience that stuff too.
We are all obviously during that week while we wait, we're all guessing where you guys are gonna go. Do you guys ever have an inkling, like maybe like a couple hours early, like a day early, like, hey, we might be going to Utah, or we might be going to Arizona. Like, do you guys have those inklings, or are you guys finding out when we are all watching the selection show?
When I was a player, I never really like focused on all that stuff. To be honest, like it'd be like you said, we didn't know who we were playing or where we were going. So that day, that Sunday, it's like okay, my first year we went to Pittsburgh. It's like, are you guys going to Pittsburgh and you're playing West Virginia in the first game? So it's like we got to get ready for West Virginia. But as a coach, you're kind of watching what's going on throughout the whole year. Like okay, when I was at Gonzaga, like we were number one, let's say the COVID year. That was my first year coming back. Um, we were gonna have games in Spokane that year because we'd have been a number one seed, and that would have been crazy. But you kind of have a feeling like, okay, we might be a 2 or 3 seed. These are the spots, like the regions we could be in. Like we could be playing in Salt Lake, we could be playing in LA, or like you kind of know where you're gonna be at um, as a coach. I think because you're watching it more.
Most definitely. Okay. I've always wondered about that because we always see your guys' reaction on like the selection show and everything. And I always wonder if that's like a live reaction, or if you guys are like, we knew like 15 minutes ago, but the camera's on now, so we got to at least clap and let everybody know we're excited.
The good thing about Gonzaga though, it's like uh, you're going to the tournament. You know what I mean? So it's like, when is your name getting called? That's the biggest thing. My first year, we didn't win the conference tournament, but we had a good enough year to be like, okay, we at least know we're playing one of these days. We just don't know who we're playing against.
I would be wrong if I didn't ask you about this. Obviously, we all dislike St. Mary's. What is it like playing St. Mary's, and what is it that makes them so tough every single year? Because I've not had the amount of talent that Gonzaga has had these last like 10 years, I would say, and they always give Gonzaga a problem. What is it, my guy?
It's the rivalry, man. It's the rivalry of the WCC, and it's just they're just a tough group of dudes, man. To be honest, like Randy Bennett knows what he's doing down there, and they're just ready to play. Like I said, they're super tough. They know our offense. We know their offense. Like it's who's going to be the toughest team. Shoot, I don't know if Coach Few has done this, but our first year there, it was like a war week. We used to wear these army fatigue like shirts, like leading up to their game. Let's say we played them on a Thursday. Like Monday through Wednesday, we'd be wearing these army fatigue shirts, and it'd be like some of the hardest practices ever because we're getting ready for battle against St. Mary's. And like you said, they might not have the most talent, but those dudes are tough, and you got to be ready because if you're not, you're gonna get punched in the mouth. So like I'd rather be ready for that and do the punching than sitting back waiting for them to hit first. So I think that's the biggest thing Coach Few's always. He wants to be hard nosed and do the hitting first.
Most definitely. St. Mary's is always much respect to them. They always have a really good team. I remember a couple years ago, maybe like 2 years ago, they had Mahoney, something like that. The
Mahaney, yeah,
he
8 man, yeah.
was a shooter, and I seen him on UConn's team this last year. I'm like, okay, like that's what's up. So
Those,
uh, shout out to St. Mary's. I dislike them with a passion, but I always wonder about that and just what that atmosphere is like and things like
I
that.
respect I respect them though. I really do.
Uh,
Like you go up there and play. I mean, they got the game. It's like a high school court, high school gym, but they pack it. I don't know if they still play the song, but they had like a song they play before every game. It was called like "Gales Gone Wild," and it was they played that right before the game, and the crowd's going crazy. Like great atmosphere. Like some of the not the biggest gym, but like they get it going in there. They really do.
So I got a two-parter here. Who was the toughest person to guard during practice, and who was the toughest person to guard in a game?
Uh, Practice wise, I think it varies. Every year because certain guys are on the scout team. They get to do whatever they want. Um, One guy that's really in my head, just going to my freshman year, was Kyle Ennis. We came in together as freshmen, but he redshirted that freshman year, and he used to give us problems because he could just go out there and play. He didn't have to really play in the system. He could just handle the ball. He could pass. He could shoot, finish at the rim. Like he's somebody that gave all of us problems. I say that year. And then another dude I'd say would be Brian Alberts.
Brian.
Brian Alberts. He was from LA.
Yeah,
Um, Really never got to really showcase a lot at Gonzaga, but he was somebody that was a tough guard in practice. You got that freedom.
most definitely.
Um,
Okay. Where was the toughest place to play? Or maybe it is maybe not the toughest place. Where was the coolest place that you have played at?
Before I answer that, my bad. I'll answer your other question. Who was the toughest guard
Oh yeah, who was
that
tough
wasn't
to
on the team?
guard on the? Yeah,
Um, I'd say because we had the most battles. I'd say Tyler Hawes. Tyler Hawes was difficult for BYU.
ridiculous.
Um, like you talk about now, they talk about Shea being like a foul baiter. Like this dude was great at getting fouled. He could shoot the ball mid range. Came off a whole bunch of like pin downs and staggers. Um, he was a tough guard, like 6'5", make free throws. I will say this though, we held him to 1 point in the kennel 1 year. And, like that for me was you know, one of the best feelings ever because he was averaging like 25 points a game, and we held him to one.
He
So
was
yeah,
ridiculous.
that he was a tough dude to guard.
That whole family, the Haas family. He
Yeah.
went to BYU, correct?
Yep.
Yes, the whole Haas family. They all just want to serve missions and just give out buckets. That's all they
Exactly.
do, man. And I don't get it. Like so,
Exactly.
I agree with you on that. That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm glad you brought his name up. Okay, toughest play or doesn't have to be the toughest. It could be the toughest. But where's your favorite place that you've played at or toughest?
Favorite place I played at? Gosh, I mean, like playing at Gonzaga, you're playing at a whole bunch of good spots. Um, I'd say my senior year, we played at Arizona when they had Stanley Johnson and T.J. McConnell. I'd say McKell Center. McKell Center was electric. Like you could feel the ground, you know, moving, like shaking. Like it was so loud in there. That was fun. And then another one would be BYU. BYU before they kind of changed the student section, it was like a whole side of the arena was their student section, and like it was electric in there too. Like BYU and Arizona for sure.
I wish BYU was still in the WCC. Well, going to the Pac-12, I guess now. Where do you see Gonzaga in the next 5 to 10 years?
Next 5 to 10 years, like Coach U's done a good job of just you know keeping them relevant, and obviously I wouldn't even say relevant. Like you know they're a blue blood, even if you don't want to call them that, right? I think he's done a great job there of a small city like Spokane, Washington, and having players go up there and go to school there and play basketball there is, I feel like it's hard to do, and he's done it. But 5 to 10 years, I'd see them hopefully winning a championship for my guy, Coach Few. Um, Send him out the right way. I don't know how many years he has left, but like, I hope he gets him one because they do the right things up there. Yeah, I'd say a championship, and hopefully he'll be in the Hall of Fame
Most
after
definitely,
that.
I hear you on that. He definitely should. How does Mark you do it? Because I mean, there was a time where he got Chet, Jalen Suggs. Like, I mean, he's been bringing in high level talent for a long time now.
Yeah.
What is it about Mark Few that just like catches the eye?
I wouldn't even say it's like it catches the eye. I think he has a bunch of trust, especially in his staff, like his assistants. Like he lets them work, and he listens to them. You know, he's a big family guy as far as like he wants you to do things with your family and things like that, and he shows that to his players as well. Like you feel like family when you come there. I think that's why a bunch of guys go there because, like I said, once you get on campus and you meet him, and you see how he does things. It's like I can see myself being here, and he cares about me. So I think like the caring part about it, and the trust he has in his assistant. I think that's how he keeps it going.
I like that. I like that. Okay, so Gary Bell Jr. is in the recruiting process right now, and he is a senior in high school. You have all the accolades you have had. How much are you worth in today's age of basketball?
Man, it's a crazy time, man, with this NIL stuff. Like I said, I'm on the other side of it now. So, golly, with all the accolades I had, and I'm going to Gonzaga, I would say, six figures, maybe, you know, in the middle, somewhere around there. Um, I like the NIL stuff. I do think it can get watered down here and there, but I do feel like these kids should be getting paid, for their work. I just don't like certain stuff where now we're not even worried about the school we're going to. We're trying to get the highest number we can get. Uh, you want to go somewhere where you're going to play, and if you're getting money doing that, then you can do that. But you know, the main goal should be the main goal, and that's always to play and showcase your skills.
Do
But I
you
understand it.
do you ever have, or have you ever had players that have come to you maybe in like the recruiting process or anything like that, and like, hey, like I need $2,000 a month, I need $5,000 a month, or whatever it is, whatever they need. Has that ever happened before to you?
I mean, yeah, now for sure, right? Like, you know, a bunch of it is NIL based, right? Like you try to find the right kids, but at the end of the day, that is going to be a question like how much NIL do you guys have? Things like that. So in the beginning, I think it probably turned a few coaches off, but I think now like that's just what it is, right? Like you want to bring the right guys in, knowing that yeah, I am going to have to pay a little bit of money for these kids to come here and showcase their skills. So, like I said, I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I just like wherever you're going, I think the main thing should be to play, not to make money and sit on a bench somewhere. You want to go somewhere where you're gonna play.
And I'm actually glad I'm going to ask you this question because I think you're the perfect person for this. With you being in the Big Sky, how does the Big Sky keep that, like, where I feel like the Big Sky is one of the best non Power Five conferences up there. There might be a couple other ones that are obviously out there. I mean, you obviously have the main ones, the top like seven or eight, but I always feel like the Pac or Pac 12, the Big Sky is one of those top ones. How does the Big Sky continue to compete with these high level schools, and how do you guys compete to keep these players in your guys' facilities?
It's hard, and I think we've done a pretty good job of maintaining our guys. Rather than other schools. I think this is the first year we actually had like a big turnover, and we had to bring in a bunch of new guys. But um, the Big Sky is the best kept secret. I really wouldn't have known about the conference and like the ins and outs of it without being here. But there's a bunch of talent here. It really is, and I wouldn't even say trying to keep the players here because it's the name of the game now, right? Like a kid has a great year for you, you probably know that they're going to go somewhere else and get paid. And it's not even a bad thing. I think at this point now, it's like you stayed here, you did good for us, you won us some games. Hopefully, you got us an NCAA tournament. Um, and it's like it's a mutual agreement. It's like, all right, you got to go get paid somewhere else now. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I don't think none of this stuff is bad as far as NIL stuff. I just think, like for us, like you come here, you play, you win us some games. It's a mutual agreement from there. Like now, you get to go make some money somewhere else, and hopefully, you can continue your level of play wherever you go after you leave here.
Okay. I kind of want to transition off of this just a little bit, but I appreciate you for answering those. I know those questions can be a little difficult sometimes, or they could be, I don't want to make seem like they're like landmines or anything, but like they're definitely a little difficult. If there is an individual, let's just say a freshman that's on your team, he comes to you, he's like, Coach Bell, how do I get on the floor? What are coaches looking for in individuals to get these young athletes on the floor?
Um, I would say being able to get coached, and then also, defense. I think a lot of times kids come in and they want to show that they can score the ball. They can score the ball, shoot bad shots, do things like that. And I just honestly, I give them, like my example. Like for me, it was like, how am I going to get on the floor? Yeah, you want to make shots for sure because you make shots, you're gonna play. But at the same time, you have to play defense and you have to be able to get coached, especially a freshman, right? You're coming from somewhere you were probably the best player. Now you're coming somewhere to where you're not. So you can't pout. You can't sit out. Like I tell our freshmen now, I'm like, stay in. Stay in these drills, get in the drill, because that's the only way you're going to get better. You don't get better by just sitting and watching. You got to get in, mess up a few times. And yeah, you're going to get coached about messing up, but at the same time, you got to take it as like a, it's a positive. Coach wouldn't be getting on me if he didn't see something in me. So that's how I always looked at it, and that's what I tell these guys. Like, get in the drills, mess up, get better, and then play defense. Whatever our scheme is, try to be great at that because the offense will always come. Once the game slows down, it'll always come. But defense is something that, young players have a problem or have issues with early. And once you learn the defensive part of it, it'll be good, whatever the coaching scheme is.
Okay, okay. So you have risen up the coaching ranks really fast. What is something that maybe obviously you played at a very, very, very high level and was really good. What was something that maybe you didn't expect, or that maybe like something that you're just like, dang, like Coach Few went through that every day?
Um, I would say that honestly, the amount of hours, man. Before like before getting into the industry, I was, talking with Tommy Lloyd about it, and his biggest thing was like, check your ego. You're not a player anymore. You can't think like a player. You got to coach. So like, put in the work. And I didn't really know what that meant until I saw it. And it's like the amount of hours that you do scouting, obviously recruiting and things like this, and making relationships. But I would say that the hardest part was the hours. Like as a player, you get your work in, might be hour, hour and a half. You get your lift in, might be an hour. You might get some extra shots up, but you're not spending more than 6 hours a day, you know, on the court. You know what I mean? You're getting your work in and you're done. With coaching, you're doing film, you got practice, you got recruiting. It's hours you're putting into this. Um, so like that was like the biggest thing for me, and then falling in love with that. Like, you're getting your shots up, getting your reps up, trying to make jumpers. Like for me, it's like, it might be texting a coach or texting a recruit, things like that. That's like for me, that's like getting my shots up, um, and just being available for everybody. You know what I mean? Being that servant leader. You know, something we're kind of working on as a staff right now. We're taking some leadership stuff, but like being that servant leader and trying to help as much as possible.
That is very important. I like that. What is your favorite part about coaching?
Favorite part is just giving back. To be honest, like that's kind of why I got into it, is giving back the knowledge that I got from my past coaches, and giving it to these guys, and then seeing those guys do it in practice and in the games. Seeing guys get better with time. Like, people want you know, quick results, but sometimes it might take a year or two, to really like pick up on things. And like, I've been here 3 years, and seeing like the guys that have been here that long, seeing how like they've gotten better over the time. And that's like some of the best joy that I get out of all of this, giving back.
Easy. Okay, okay. Let's say you guys are playing. Let's just say you guys are coming to Washington, to Spokane. You guys are playing Eastern. What does that all look like? How does that, like, do you guys go in? Are you guys there 2, 3 days early? Are you guys there day before? Um, what does that all look like?
Yeah, let's say we play the Eastern on Thursday. I'll give you both examples, but if we play Eastern on a Thursday, we're gonna fly into Spokane on Wednesday, which we've done the past, shoot, yeah, 3 years. We usually practice at Gonzaga, right? Relationships with those guys. They get us in the gym, practice there, go get something to eat, watch film that night, and then get up for the game. Probably have a shoot around because the game's on Thursday. It'll be a later start. Shoot around at around 12, 11, 12 on that Thursday. Have another film session before we eat, and then go to the game. Let's say the game's at 6. We might get there at uh, say 4. Get there at 4. Stretch out. Be ready for the game. Um, and then if we play, let's say we played Eastern on a Saturday, we're probably going to play Idaho on that Thursday. So we'd play Idaho Thursday. then we drive or we stay the night and then drive to Spokane on that Friday and kind of do that same process that we would do Wednesday on the Friday.
Man, does it ever get repetitive?
It does get repetitive, but I like the process, especially like, being on the road.
Mm.
Like my best times or best memories of playing was like the road, being around the guys and, talking and doing things like that. Being at Gonzaga, we were doing charter, but like for me now, it's like the airports and like finding a joy in that. Because if you always look at the bad things of like, I don't know, let's say a layover or, you got a bad travel day, it's like that's just gonna, you know, I don't know, put onto the guys, like that energy. So I always just be like, all right, hey, these other teams got to do the same things we're doing, right? They got to sit in the airports, they got to ride on a plane, they might got a middle seat. Like, let's find the joy of it, and that's like being with your guys. You call it your brothers. So like, just I love those times because you're out of your comfort zone in an aspect, but you're with your brothers at the same time.
Okay, okay. So I want to go back just a little bit. I wanted to ask you, let's just talk about the Elite Eight real quick. When you guys got to the last game, when you guys lost, what was your guys' mindset going into that? Obviously, I know you guys are elite athletes. You guys think you guys are gonna win. What all goes into that? Then also, what are the conversations like afterwards?
It's a mixed emotion. You know what I mean? Because it was the first time we had went to an Elite Eight or Sweet 16 since I think it was 2009 at that point. Um, but right, like you're mad you lost. Going into the game, we played Duke. I thought we matched up perfect with them. They had Jahlil Okafor. We had Shimmer Karnowski. Both 7 footers, both big bodies. We had older guards as far as me and Kevin. They had Quinn Cook and they had a younger guard. I think it was Trey Jones at the time or Ty Jones, one of those two. They're both brothers, but um,
Oh,
like
yeah.
we thought we matched up good with them. They had Justice Winslow, which was great, but we had Byron Wesley. We had Kyle Woodcher. Like we matched up great. We just it was a rough time shooting in that gym. And now since I'm done playing, I can say like the backdrop, I think it messed with everybody that shot in that gym. So it's really not an excuse, but at the same time, they made more shots than us that day.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up. There's a conversation that we have, in the media all the time. The backdrop when we get to Elite Eights, Final Fours, it's always in like Jerry's World. It's always in Vegas somewhere in a football stadium. Does that affect you at all?
I mean, I'm a big mental person, so I do think it's in your head. But at the same time, if you look at the numbers as far as like the 3 point percentages and all that, it goes down. So, I mean, you could say what you want, like no, it doesn't affect you, but at the same time, like the numbers don't lie. Like the numbers are down. Um, guys make timely threes in those games as well, right? So like I said, they made more shots than us that day, but me and Kevin didn't shoot the ball great during that little run that we had there.
All right, so I just want to make sure we got to that because I've always wondered. Well, we've all, I mean, we at a lower level. I mean, we all played our last high school football or basketball game at one, and that feeling that you
Yeah,
had, it's
yeah.
gut. I could only imagine what it is like in front of the whole world. So, um, let's kind of transition back into like the sport or to the coaching and everything. What are your goals this season for your team?
Um, Goals this year. Like I said, I feel like every team, especially in the Big Sky, their goal is to get to the NCAA tournament. Um, but for us, we have a whole new team, and I think we're gonna have a great team. We got a bunch of guys that compete every single day. Um, like the goal is for sure to get to the NCAA tournament. Um, we're probably not going to be preseason ranked high, but that should light a fire under our guys. I know it lights a fire under our coaching staff. So um, we just got to go prove ourselves. At the end of the day, right? When the ball goes up, it don't matter who they say is the best. You got to prove it, and that's how I've lived my life, and I think that's how a lot of our guys they have that same type of mentality.
Is there a certain obviously your coaching staff A1. Is there a certain coaching staff that you have played against that you're like, dang, like they are really freaking good?
Coaching staff, I would say we played UConn. Um, we played UConn, was it 2 years ago, when they won the championship. So it was their banner night. But yeah, seeing that coaching staff was really good because Hurley is obviously a great coach, went back to back. Um, but like him, that first game was just like how he coached, the championship game. He was on the side. They were running their stuff. He was super animated. Like it didn't matter if they were playing, you know, us or they were playing St. John's for the Big East championship. Like it was like he was super intense, and their coaching staff was intense.
So Dan Hurley is really like that 24/7.
Oh, for sure.
Oh,
Yeah, like seeing him on the sideline, like I said, he's super intense. And we have a guy that was on his staff. He was a GA during that time, so he gives us stories, a lot of how he is in practice and things like that. But like I said, he's going to be the same guy, you know, game one or game 36, in the championship game. So that was
um,
cool to see.
I just got a couple more for you. There's some basketball terminology that maybe somebody that is a freshman in high school that you should know. Maybe that doesn't just get taught though regularly. Maybe it's
Uh, let's say, I mean, I don't know if it's terminology, but I would say like a ball screen. I feel like when you're growing up, a ball screen is only there for you to go get a bucket. That's how I looked at it when I was younger and then growing up. It was like the big come set this screen so I can get this shot off or get to the rim. And I think once you get to college, and now it could be different because there's so much access to everything, right? YouTube, and if you want to figure stuff out, you can go find it. But when I was growing up, it was different. But once you get to college, you're knowing like, okay, they're setting this screen. I'm looking for the help, right? I'm being aggressive, but I'm also knowing like, all right, there's help coming out of the corner. I can skip the ball here, or if there's no help, maybe the roll man is open, and things like that. Like you're reading the game a lot more. It's just not for you, right? It's for everybody else around you. And like I said, I think there's so much access to where I think a lot of these kids know that or they think they know it, and then once they get to college, they find out like there's way much more to it. And um, I've kind of learned that in coaching now. You think these kids know it until they don't, right? Now you got to teach them all those little things.
what are some passions that you have outside of basketball?
Uh, Passions I have right now, I would say, I mean, season's coming up, but I would say right now, I've been in the weight room like crazy. So, like lifting right now, like I've been trying to like I joke with our coaching staff, but I'm gonna be the swollest assistant coach in the country. So I mean, I've been lifting. Um, like I like working out. Um, I've been going to church a lot more. My girlfriend has been getting me in church a lot more. So um, trying to find my spiritual side as well. Trying to get that side of it, and then also like hobbies, but it's not really a hobby. But being a dad to my kids, as far as being available for them as much as I can. With the season coming up, and just always
That
being present.
daddy duties is on daddy duties over here. That's super awesome. You kind of just, I'm sure this is probably one of them, but what motivates you every day to get up and keep going?
Uh, you know, um, my kids, as far as like them seeing that their dad is trying to be successful, right? Like everybody's got stuff going on, but you know you got to get up and you got to provide for them. So I think they motivate me, and as far as the work aspect, like the players and my coaching staff, like they motivate me as well. Like I don't want to let them down. So I got to get up and give positive energy and and do all those little things so that they can be the best version of themselves.
Okay, when you are in Spokane, where's your favorite place to eat at?
Ooh, I did see this question. I would have to go Aloha,
Okay.
Aloha Teriyaki Grill. I haven't had that in a long time. So hopefully, when we go back and we play Eastern, I can grab a plate from there. But Aloha was one of the go tos.
Aloha. Okay, we're gonna definitely have to get on that here super soon. All right, so I got two more for you. Drake or Kendrick? This is a two-parter. Drake or Kendrick? And then what are you
Sorry, what was the last part of the question?
um what are you listening to on like a daily basis?
Okay, Drake or Kendrick? I'm probably gonna listen to more Drake for sure. I'm listening to more Drake than I am Kendrick, but Kendrick did win the beef. You know what I mean? Like him, the way he dropped the songs and all of that. Like he won the beef, but I'm gonna listen to Drake probably way more. I think he has more songs that I would listen to. And then who I'm listening to right now, I'm a big R&B guy right now, and I got a nice R&B playlist. It goes from oldies to new stuff. Um, I'm a I say Chris Brown. I like a lot of his R&B stuff. Uh, yeah, yeah, R&B.
Easy. I like that. I like that. I'm a Drake guy, so I hear you on that. Kendrick's cool too.
Yeah.
Um, all right, last one here. Definition of success.
Ooh, definition of success. Um, God, that's a good one. She got me on the spot. I think that's a tough question because I think it varies from you know anybody's way of thinking. But for me, it would be you know obviously winning, right? We're in coaching, but if everybody's reaching their full potential, um, in this sport and in sports in general, everything comes down to wins and losses. But success could mean graduating from college, things like that, or like I said, reaching your full potential, man. Because not everybody's gonna play in the NBA, right? But at the same time, you gotta keep going. So I would say, yeah, reaching your full potential
I
in
like
anything
that.
you're doing.
I like that. I appreciate you. That's one of my favorite questions to ask. It's kind of the bedrock of the podcast. Everybody has a different answer, and everybody's answer is super awesome because I think it just opens up a different lane in your mind, you know. So I appreciate you for my guy. We have Northern Arizona University associate head basketball coach with us, Junior over here with us. I really appreciate you, my guy, for coming on and giving us your time.
No, man. Thanks for having me. LJ's, am I doing it right? There you go. LJ's, Lumberjacks. NAU in the building. Watch us this year, 25, 26. Hopefully we're Big Sky champs.
Come on, you know what we're about to be doing. Hey, Boise, we're gonna be in Boise, so I
Yep.
see you, my guy. Hopefully, there's a
Yep.
chance of being hoisted. So,
Let's go. Let's go.
and I appreciate you, though, my guy.